Oh shit, it works. It's been a minute. Oh, I figured why not come back? Have a little edit. Have a little edible and do some edits. Yeah, there you go. This should be interesting. Yeah, voice cracking, full of good stuff. Yeah, title says it all. At least if, I don't think there's this. No, there's a streams title on Twitch. Oh, long week. Had an edible. Gonna edit some photos. So, probably gonna be weirder edits than usual. This is kind of the vibe I was on just now. Um, coming from, I mean, this is usual, I guess, in some degrees, and trying to push things more odd, unconventional. That's kind of where things typically go after having said edible. But yeah, I've been threatening to do this for a while, so figured why the hell not. So gonna dive in. Yes, it's gonna be photos. I'm not really getting into design. I've had a week of client work doing some pretty aggressive timeline stuff, so I'm gonna stay away. So this is meant to be kind of pretty mellow. So Bashar, what's going on? Good morning. Where in the world are you? I have this. Oh, is it? Huh. Not here. Oh, I'm probably gonna laugh at a lot of my own dumb jokes too, so just, it is what it is. I'm still working on my reel, by the way. That has not changed. I've been threatening to do this one as black and white. Oh, you're from India? Nice. That was me, my guess, looking at my little clocker, doing the math and what Madrid, what time it is there right now. Yeah, the reel's just been not real fun. Keep on adding stuff. There's a lot of stuff I never edited when I did the design. I did. So I'm editing a lot of comps for the first time in the reel, which is probably not the right way to do it. But no time like the present. And it's filled with plenty of dumb stuff mixed in between too. And I don't know if I want. I mean, there was like a random clip. So the idea it's like taped over from other shows, kind of like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And one of the clips it was going to was like an old recording of like a Bob Ross show. And then the Bob Ross documentary just came out on Netflix. Super interesting if you haven't seen it. Kind of sad. I mean, it's not that sad. He definitely got screwed over. The kid got screwed over. But good old Bob Ross, man. I don't know why, but like for all my fake emails and everything, I always put bobross@gmail.com. I've done it for years. I have no explanation for it. So whoever is bobross@gmail.com, I apologize. It's been me this entire fucking time. 'Cause I don't know why. I've like tried to trace back the genesis of that idea and I can't for the life of me figure it out. This needs help. This has been a particularly difficult one. I've tried many times. Just there's so much haze to cut through. That's not the answer. Sometimes I'll just like nudge down the darks is my way of kind of cutting through. I think clarity sometimes. I don't know. It makes things kind of crunchy in the way it computes it, I feel like. So really all I'm trying to do is just like the haze just You could add contrast. That's another way you could do it. But for me, I just like doing it on a gradation and then cutting down the shadows and the blacks to kind of just pull it through a little bit more. Where did that just go? Oh, it's probably on hide. I thought there was like a tool that showed like always hide. Maybe not. Well, I can't find that one anymore, so it's gone. But it's doing its job. You can see, yeah, there's the previous. And I kind of like the haze most times. It's funny, I tend to add a lot of haze. But on this one, for some reason, just not feeling it. I think it's just so blown out because it's shooting like straight into the sun. The sun's just like off here, top left. I don't know if there's anything. HSL is probably not going to do a lot. So I nuked it with the global. Actually, like lifting the luminance in the global. Even on a bright picture, I think it just helps. But yeah, I realize it's been quite a while since I've streamed. I had a thought about it. I don't know how often they're going to be going forward. I like doing it. It's I really don't. I'm not worried about sub count or view count or anything like that, but I'm putting a lot of energy and effort into doing it, staying consistent. I'm not as efficient when I do it, and I don't mind that. I think if I could just, if there was progress being made in terms of like building out a community here, and I think there were glimpses of it, which I think were great, but keep jogging. It can only take so much of me and my stupidity, and I don't blame people whatsoever. So maybe streaming's not for me on a regular basis. Maybe I'm better suited to kind of sticking to just like pre-made videos where it's like very matter of fact. People really don't care to hear rambling for hours. But I'm probably going to be fairly. I know I've been talking quite a bit. I think it's just been a minute, but I might be kind of quiet on this one. Just kind of jam out to music, and if there's any questions, like definitely feel free to hit me with whatever. I've been trying to keep up with the No ISO playlist. If you want to jump in here. Oh, look who it is. Shoot some water stuff soon? Let's fucking do it, man. I was just thinking about that too. Because I'm doing a bunch of video stuff. And you tried to help me with all my video settings, but I fucked them up somehow. And like I had them right, and then I reverted them back somehow. And so like all my shit is like 1080p at like 30 frames a second, and I'm trying to like get slow-mos of waterfalls, and it's just like, so I'm waiting for the fucking spring winds to die down, and I'm gonna get out and shoot a lot. I want to do a lot of video, high FPS video. See what I can do with that. You been shooting, bud? I think I saw a couple clips on your Insta story. This might be one of those photos that's just not gonna save. It's not. None of this feels good. That feels worse. Fuck. Just some stuff from winter. Yeah, dude, let's do it, man. I'm probably gonna be working again soon. I just did a week of work, but I want to get back in the water. I don't know what the the old forecast is looking like. I've been keeping an eye on it. Looks like is there waves right now? It's not that windy. I don't know what the fucking vibration is on the camera. Oof. Today was the biggest. No. How about winds? Ooh, is that offshore? That offshore? Ooh. There you go. Well, we only have 15 days, 16 days or something. Till we get a shootable day. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty mellow, all things considered. Tuesday looks like shit, but 8 miles an hour? Still not the greatest. Like, that's like for shit like this. Just need like dead calm, and we're not there yet. Oh, I'm ready for winter. I feel like my lens ports are gonna be just corroded together. I'm gonna need like a fucking vise and a bunch of what is it, WD-40? Is that what you use? Water clarity is all time. Ooh. Didn't know that. I will probably want take a look at that. Even if it's small, like I don't know. I don't mind shooting really small days. Just gotta have the right lens and just focus on little details shit. Not gonna get you or Mr. Critelli pulling into anything. Any 3 mile closeouts around here, but like this is probably fuck, I don't even know. Probably a 1.5 foot wave. Just clean. Go up there. Hey. Guess I can blow up his spot on stream. Tyler, if you're watching. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Same shit. What's all this bullshit? Like Ventura pulls in so much swell. I don't see shit. God damn it, Tyler. Winds look fantastic too. Tyler's gonna be coming down here to surf, man. What the fuck? No fucking bueno. Yeah, Mike, even if like it looks kind of shit, if you're heading out, give me a shout. I haven't been motivated to go lately, just looking at that cam and having work and all this stupid shit, but let's get in the water and shooting or getting the log out. I'm down. Eat that fucking blue and teal. Not gonna do it. I don't even know what to do with this one. Just lighten it and flatten it out. So tempting to like pull the contrast back in. Super late stream? I mean, yeah. I just, the mood struck me. I realized it's been a good long time. So I apologize if it's not a great time. I think I'm here more for a good time than a long time. So see what happens. Good to be doing fun though. Or fun stuff. Jesus. I've been doing so much like reels and that singer site and just losing my goddamn mind. And I haven't finished either of them. So the reel is like I posted the reel on Twitter and everyone just got offended by my timeline. All right. I think a lot of people can sympathize though. That shit is just ridiculous. This is not nearly as exciting as I hope it would be. I apologize. It's like these, I like to, either I try and stay kind of true to it and make it moody, or I just like try and abstract it. And I think this is in that weird kind of middle ground that, I don't know. It's like enough information to know what's going on, but it's kind of confusing. Like, oh, that's a wave. Like, I'd almost rather you didn't know it was a fucking wave, but I don't know if that's achieved by just blowing it out. I mean, I can always drop the horizon line. Definitely not warm enough. I just think I've neutralized it with this. Reset this shit. Ain't it? Trying to get weird with these. Not looking for safe. So these are like as warm as they should be. I sometimes like tossing like a blue or green highlight on there. I don't know why. I feel like I associate it with some sort of film stock, but I couldn't tell you which one, or I wouldn't put any money on that. So do with it what you will. Yeah, this is just not. You know, the thing is, like, I feel like I'm gonna do like edible edit, and I want to get weird, and then I just start pushing stuff into like weird edits that like just don't. Nothing about it seems interesting or redeeming. And this is almost getting to that territory, and I keep on coming back to blue on the midtones, and I just can't. The fact that this is like detaching from the horizon, I think it helps. Coloration through here is actually feels pretty good. I think it's just this blue sky just feels too saturated. And the wrong color. Yeah, see, I wish like if this was high res enough, I'd probably just crop in on this right here. I don't think I've cropped in already. Did you figure out your pre-comp audio stuff? Yeah, Anthony and I were chatting. So I've done that. He's basically just saying you have your main timeline and then you pre-comp the content and you leave the audio in that main comp. The problem for me is I'm animating things for the first time, and so um, if it's a pretty simple animation, I try and keep it out of a pre-comp because then I don't have to go in and out of the pre-comp to sync to the music. And so I understand that the playhead will sync between the main comp and then any subsequent pre-comp. The problem is just like tracking that audio down through the pre-comps, and some of them have 4 levels of pre-comps in them. So in order to sync the music, like let's say of the singer concept, I've got one piece moving and then a piece within that moving. So then I have to go in and leave markers. And that's all well and good as long as the timing never changes. But I have my timeline, I have my pre-comp set up where they start, like the beginning of that pre-comp clip is at where it shows up. I think my problem would be avoided if I didn't trim it and I just kind of like, so 0 0 of the pre-comp matches up with 0 0 of the main comp. And then I kind of just like leave the window of the pre-comp. That would probably fix things, but my OCD doesn't let me do it. Use a horizontal monitor just for the timeline. Yeah, I mean, this is where I miss the second display. I mean, I love like XDR is the be all end all, but I think I'm mentally looking for something. I'm waiting for Apple to come out with like an entry level display that's like the same form factor. I don't need it 6K. Give me like, fuck, don't even give me 4K. I don't care. Give me the same factor and same color accuracy, and I'm fucking good. I don't understand like the need for super high res. Just doesn't. I don't know. I don't see the value. All it's done is create problems for me. Just like rendering so many pixels, like this is 100% on a 42 megapixel image. Like it's not, resolution so high you don't actually get that close in. I don't know. But yeah, like having like a separate display for the timeline would probably help quite a lot. But I've just used markers to go into it. But I did find there's a script. Let's see. Sync pre-comp audio After Effects. I think this is it. It's like a minute video. Like, shout out to this guy for doing it. Oh, so he explains it. So you pre-comp your audio, enable time remapping, and then you put get rid of that music. You put a expression in there, and you just so you link it back up to the main composition, and it'll automatically resync the audio. So you'll have the audio you can hear within pre-comps, and if the timing changes of that clip, it'll adjust it with this. So I need to do it. I just haven't gotten around to it. That should probably help too. XDR is 32, I think. Yeah, 32 inches. Music. So it's a big screen, don't get me wrong. I just wish I could do a little bit more with it. Because I'm always multitasking. That's a for sure. This kind of sucks. When did I do this? Oh, this is old, that's why. This colors look funky. Should be a little bit easier one to have some fun with. Kind of flatten the highlights a little bit. It's like still really blue in there. I don't know how. I'd rather do some of like pushing it that far and do some color correction through curves than do it through global parameters. I don't think it looks as good. I always feel like the shadows, tint of the shadows is kind of a big jumping off point. Don't lie, these colors don't feel good either. Already it feels like it's going sideways. That's the old edit. So definitely going softer. This feels, yeah, it feels so purple through here. And usually you can kind of use the calibration to mitigate that a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be cooperating. So we'll see. Those are, I'll try and be careful luminance. I don't want to like blast the dunes too much. I think that's kind of an easy way to do it. One thing I know I did before, just take this out. And again, as long as you don't give people a reason to look there, they're not really going to look. So you don't have to do the cleanest fix. Like, yeah, if you look closely, you could see a pattern, but who the hell's going to see it? What education have you done? So I went to a 4-year school, university. It is called Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Primarily an engineering school. So school's got a great reputation, but it's pretty much carried by the engineers and architects. Like, it's primarily why people know about it. People think so highly of it. Otherwise, yeah, just self-taught. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would say this now. People who went through 4-year schools and universities, like what you get in return, like I don't see the benefit there. There's great things about going to 4-year schools, but I think the experience is great. You learn to be accountable to yourself and meeting deadlines, and I think it shows other people you can be treated as an adult and you can see things through. But beyond that, like I don't really use much. And I don't know if that's really fair because there's some fundamentals of like color theory um, that maybe some of what I'm doing is predicated upon, but most of that was like painting swatches. Like I literally had to sit there and mix paints and make a color wheel. Like I can't remember how I got up to, but I always ended up just cheating with someone else and splitting it up and be like, all right, I'll take this half of the color wheel, you take that half. And then you just have to like punch it out. So you just paint little bigger, like 2x the size of the swatches. Cause once you have it made, it's fucking easy. So that was like my introduction to color theory. And I I think it was a waste of my goddamn time. Um 4 years for, so it was art and design. It started as photography, and then I I saw a relative, I'll just say, kind of get chewed out by the photography industry, just like how grueling it is. And this is like, not to date myself, this is like 10, 15 years ago, probably like 15 years ago. Um, it's probably a lot more cutthroat now. Just like how many people are trying to get into, I don't know, maybe it's subsided now because Instagram just sucks and crushes a lot of people's souls. But um, I'm sure there's still a lot of people who want to do it. But Yeah, so I switched to design second year, I think. Yeah, graduated with that. Most everything I learned was like self-taught that I use now. And I did have some really good mentors actually. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think I can. It's not fair for me to discount the mentors I had. I had some incredible mentors along the way. So I would say, like, if you're gonna look for, if you're looking for a path, um, just eyeing places with like talented individuals who you could learn a lot from. I think there's a lot to be said. This is still being weird. Because like, yeah, they literally would sit down and teach me everything they learned. Because they didn't have the time or the interest to do that work, and so like you just pick up a lot of shit along the way. And I'm forever grateful for it. I'm still not gonna knock people who want to go to a 4-year school. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Teach their own. You know, if you want to do it, plenty of fun. Can promise you that. I feel about this. I think it's just inherently so much contrast. Hate that edit. So this is the unedited. Oh, wait. Oh, old edit. Unedited. I don't usually edit with so much like harsh contrast in there. So I'm sort of struggling right now. If I dump things down too dark, I'm just losing everything. There's like really weird colors going on here. And I know this is an edible edit stream, but yeah, there's something weird going on there. I'd rather start over. If you had an option to pursue computer programming, would you do it? Not at this point. I sort of had a crisis moment this week of like, maybe I should just sell all my shit and like the world literally needs ditch diggers too. You get the reference. Bonus points. Um, I think I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I've learned some computer programming along the way, but um, that's just such a whole different world for me. The way the colors are being applied, it's just weird. Oh, we can get weird with some local edits. But yeah, I think computer programming's fun, but like my brother's a computer engineer. He's just wired differently. Like I couldn't do it, I don't think. This feels terrible. Try again. So for reference, this is, well, this is more the realm I want to find myself in. Like weird, but okay. Because a lot of these start getting into that like I feel like I'm just rattling on about it, but kind of like this who fucking cares sort of realm. I think if you had CS background, you could be 100 times more of yourself in expressing your creativity. I'm not sure I track that. I could express myself better if I did computer programming. But I do think it'd be fun to like just own everything. And that's kind of what Webflow does for me. But it is what it is. But like freelance, I've just learned to only rely on myself more. I just don't. Sadly, I've learned no one else is really all that dependable at the end of the day. Everyone's looking out for number one. That's okay. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. Probably just become more of a jack of all trades, master of none, but someday it'll come together. Maybe. Maybe it won't, I don't know. I'm only jumping down this because I think it's fairly important for the grade. Trying to make the grade. Except I'm making trash. God damn it. So frustrating. Remember I said this one was going to be easy? Ah, not today. The crazy WebGL stuff and advanced music production and more website development stuff. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff's on the radar for sure. Music production's a big priority right now. Video's a big priority. I think, I don't know, and just doing color grading in general. There's a collaboration I'm doing. This guy is super fucking talented and doing a lot of 3D stuff, and I'm just doing like color grades on it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know it's different than what you were talking about, like WebGL. But yeah, I'm just trying to own things end to end because I just don't feel I can depend on anyone. It's kind of sad, but it's like all the essentials and stuff I need for myself. Like I just have to do it myself. It's okay. Can't expect people to give a shit about all the same stuff I do when I do. Might as well do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Fuck. You know. I feel like I did all right with the first edit, and then it's just been downhill. I guess that's how edibles go. This is part of the problem just editing on field to start with. Is like, that field's gonna change. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. That's why so much shit just sits in here with like, all these yellow markers or stuff that's like, some of it's like being pulled from old folders, and I haven't re-edited it since Capture One, but a lot of it's just like, I just sit with it and I don't know what to do with it. It's crazy how many 17 to 20-year-olds are super advanced in design and development of websites and getting pretty big in their teen years. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hungry people. And I think, like, when I came up, there weren't a ton of digital resources. I think four-year universities still held the keys to, like, professional education. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, this negative. You can see the ghosting going on. It's not bad. It's just a little too much. Some of these high contrast areas, you'll see they'll start to ghost. Grain's a little excessive. But yeah, I think a lot of people are just taking advantage of the resources that are available, and it's awesome. I think four-year universities they're done. They're a thing of the past. Like people are done going into debt for what? So you can learn something less efficiently than you can learn online. And so, yeah, people are just using the resources that are available, and there's a lot of hungry people, and there's a lot of I think the wealth disparity in our world right now spread across like my generation and like the baby boomers and the previous my parents' generation. Like most people I know haven't bought a house and they're just working their asses off because there's wage inequity. And so what do people do when they're not so much literally hungry, but like if they want to make it and they see a lot of people just kind of stagnating at this living wage and um, they just keep going. They just keep working on their craft and these young kids are aiming long early and fuck, good for them. It's impressive. For me, I love it. It's like a little kick in the ass to like keep moving. I don't want to get passed by some fucking teenager when I've had so much chance to be better. And I mean, yeah, they can get really good with a lot of things. There's some just refinement that's just you can't you can't learn it. You kind of just have to go through it, and they'll get there without a doubt. They'll be fucking schooling my ass in no time. It's just a matter of time at the end of the day. Dental. I think this one's ready to go. Check something. Really? There's some weird, like it's almost like inversion on maybe the HSL or something. I don't know. I almost like it without. I think it's the hue I don't care much for. All of it. All of it's got to go. It all sucks. Turn it on. Can't reset all? Yeah. They make me click 3 times. Son of a bitch. House pick is sick. Thank you. Thank you. Funny, like it's literally in like the most desolate area, but it's on the way to um what is it? Great or Grand? Great Sand Dune National Park. So you're like in this huge valley and like I think you can see the sand dunes like back off in the distance here. But yeah, it's just like this abandoned house and I've been seeing it a lot on Instagram. It's kind of funny. I'm not saying I'm the original. It's just like people go to Great Sand Dune National Park and like you're just in the middle of nowhere and there's this house right next to the road. It's just like so weirdly flat. It's very strange. It's kind of hard to explain. Mark that green, so that is good. This is looking the most promising so far. I mean, it's really weird how your eye can just get adjusted to just weird grades. And like if you one thing I've found that's like really kind of an interesting test is like if you just screenshot something and then just pull it into like Photoshop or something and just like look at those color values. I mean, like this color value is just it's so strange. It's like it's so green, it's so I mean, there's something to be said about stylizing it, but I mean, the balance just here is just so strange. And some of the colors my eye just normalizes pretty strange as well. Although this one I think is pretty decent. But yeah, like it's weird. Like your eye kind of softens after a while, and it blends everything into a feel. And sometimes you lose track of like the actual colors that are going on in certain places. And so like days later, I'll come back and just like I'll just focus in on one area and see one color, and it's like this crazy saturated blue, and it's like how the fuck did I get there? Edibles might be part of it, but you know, it's usually just kind of eye runs away from me a little bit. Trying to think. Did I ever get this one right? Oh, where'd I go? This one. It's close. It's just, I think it's too much contrast. That's helping. And I wonder if I just like, because I'm flattening it so much, I feel okay about coming in and maybe just doing a ramp of darkening. So it's all kind of just progressively leading up to here. But I'm liking the softness. I think that's just doing those two things has helped a lot. You could argue it's a little flat, but I mean, maybe you can drop a little bit more in there. So I always find like these are you're bound to get a lot more contrast than you are through this parametric curve, whatever the fuck it's called. Parametric curve. Like just like some of these like dark sections through here, it's just like it. I mean, some people like it. It's definitely more dramatic. That's actually the original. I am steering it in a very different direction. This is kind of what I was talking about like pulling in blues into the highlights on a generally like warm picture. I think it argues some of the contrast is being lost through here. Stylistic preference. I do think through here could be bumped just a touch. This is sometimes where I'll go into like the tonal curve and just lift a point. But you just like sometimes just to come in and like even things out. But you see how much of an effect that had on so many other things, because lifting this up, you can watch like down below in the darks, it's going to try and smoothen the curve, so it's going to pull a lot of shadows back down, which is something I literally just got done fixing. So it is very much the case of fix one problem, create another. I mean, you can do this to kind of offset it a little bit, but now you're getting to a lot of points. And I can already, it just feels strange. So I don't think it's really worth elevating those highlights. The old rule of thirds, kind of have it everywhere. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna fuck with that. I just feel like it's back to. Did I go back too far? Yeah, it's like I unknowingly redid some of my history. I think I went too far back here or something. I don't know. That or I'm just losing my mind. Both plausible. Still feels like not too much contrast. And I'm just kind of fucking with the highlights a little bit. So this is my film highlights. What's nice about the way it's set up is I can do a little like color temperature adjustment. So it's almost like a dehaze. Like if you use DaVinci Resolve, um, you can add a color, like whatever dehazes and kind of blurs it a little bit. You can add a little tint to it. So that's kind of what this does. I did see some people trying to get like halation to work in Lightroom. can tell you they have not figured it out. I think there is a process where you export it out to Photoshop, but I think halation's really easy in Photoshop anyways. It's just can't do fucking 20,000 photos in Photoshop. I'll need half of AWS's servers to do that. Yeah, felt good. I'll probably come back to it eventually. I mean, there are like what's bothering me about it's wild. Like you'd think yellow would do something to this, but it almost does nothing. Other thing I wanted to check. So raising the reds in the shadow kind of reduces the color contrast a little bit. Or you maybe could use a little less red through some of this. Maybe the coloration of these rocks is not quite right. They almost look oversaturated. But that's what they really look like. I think I'm going further and further away. Yeah, I can live with that for now. Going green. Love to see it. This one I feel like I could probably get pretty weird with. It's so tempting. The problem with this preset, like, I don't like it. But even like unedited, this is 100% straight out of camera. Only thing I don't know is if it's obvious enough of what's going on. I kind of have to be careful. It's one of those that like I think its value is in being recognizable of like what's going on. Because sure, I could abstract the shit out of this, and like no one has any clue of what the fuck is happening in this picture. But I think what's most impressive is what is happening in this picture, and you can tell. I think that's kind of a good thing. Probably gonna be flattening things out a good bit, and maybe colors where I can kind of push things. Just I don't know. Oh, is this? This is another one I want to get right. It's got a lot of potential, but not quite there. I'm gonna put on a different playlist. Actually, if you don't know about Circle Sunset, great playlist. They update it. They kind of do what I used to do with No ISO. They just dump 42 songs in here, and it's all just like I don't know, bunch of sunset tracks. Great to work to. If you haven't seen their videos, highly recommend it. Super, super cool stuff. I think I need to get rid of some of these. What was I looking for? These. If you've seen me edit these before, not wrong, or think you've seen me edit them, I have. I'm getting very tired of my catalog. I'll be very, very honest about it. I'm dying to get out to shoot. I think I'm going to go to New York in October, and I'm going to be shooting like fucking mad. I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities last time I was in New York. So I'm kind of excited. Yeah, so what I was looking for is like something that's a bit more recognizable. Like that one shot down the coastline, like it's almost so abstracted that you don't know. And I've edited these a million times. Something nice about these. See if I can do something with it. I can't tell. Like if I blow it out, it's just gonna be nothing. I don't know what it is I'm gravitating to with this. Kind of a weird one, but so if you dump your luminance on your color, sometimes you got to be ready to also chase that down with the saturation. Almost like if you in Photoshop add a curves adjustment layer, you can change it to luminosity, but you can't do this with the HSL. So I've noticed when you dump the luminance, sometimes saturation just has to follow. Not that tough. This is doing so. This is like this is one of those where it's like you have so much more to lose than gain by fucking with this. Like you could see like around here, like you see that banding that starts going on. You start creating like some of these soft gradients. Like it's just maybe there's a little bit of green pixels over here that you want to adjust, but it's just like don't telling you it's not worth it. Just let it go. But I'm not so convinced that this is really gonna turn into what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. Great streaming mentality, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to artificially add contrast. It's just something about like the space felt nice. Like it was just because the actual colors, like the fact that it is this blue sky and like there's such a strong sunlight coming through just on there, but it's kind of just getting lost here. Global global luminance is such a good tool. I think I keep rattling on about it, but this might just get left to nothing. I think like so I was inclined to like go warmer, but for a while, I wasn't really looking at what it was doing to the blues over here. And this is where you kind of get in a back and forth and you can kind of fight it with HSL. But then you're kind of just processing a lot more than you probably need to. Um, yeah, I don't think it's going to become anything, but you never know. It could come back. I don't think I've seen that horizon, not horizon, like down the coast shot that I'm looking for. Oh, so it's right here. I think I'd been shooting for like 2 hours. Hands are frozen because I'm an idiot and I'm never prepared for these kind of shoots. There's a little more definition here. I think I just have to crop out the sun itself. Only focus on the direct sunlit spots. Yes. I mean, I shot a lot into the sun. I don't usually shoot into the sun this much. This might be a better shot I was doing. But yeah, it's like always like trying to shoot towards the sun. It's kind of like a sunset. Like you're shooting at the sun, but if you can kind of frame it or if it's soft enough, you can kind of get around some of the problems. Because this is kind of what was happening is like the sun's just kind of coming in and out of these clouds. I think, yeah, this is the original shot. This is like straight from the camera. So it's a wild thing, and I've tried to get these right. And some of the it's my forever cop out going black and white, but um yeah, even those, I think I'm down like 2 stops. It's just I think because the metering mode was kind of in a general oh, the hill scene. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think cropping some of the excess out from the bottom, not going black and white. Wow. Forgetting all my shortcuts. I haven't my shortcuts. It's Q? R. Wow. Yeah, maybe pulling in on it's like it just kind of definitely better. Because yeah, there's like no useful information over here. Everything that's interesting is on this kind of right hand side. I might put this in Terra for now. Yeah, it was a good call. I think that'll definitely help. Oh, and I messed these up so bad. These could have been so cool. I think it'll work for like a screensaver, but like social content, like no way. I just wish I wouldn't have been so lazy and I walked out here. But I mean, snow on the ground, it is freezing, and I've got paper thin gloves because I'm a moron. Where you always be prepared. Hmm. This is another one that feels like it's kind of fighting itself. I think this might be a more interesting crop. Because again, this is like dead information down here. I'd like my OCD wants that to be on the third, but it's not as important. I think this gives a much better sense of space instead of kind of like the cloud picture from before. It's just like dead pixels more or less. Sailing gloves and hand warmers. See, yeah, you've got it figured out. I would just like have my car nearby and just would never turn it off. And there's like literally no one around, so I could just leave my car running and just go run around. Um, but yeah, I think I need to get on the hand warmer kick because there's so many times it's just like I never had this, but like it was the first time it happened this last winter. I was shooting out in the water and I couldn't feel the shutter anymore. It was really rather a strange feeling. Like I couldn't tell, like on my water housing, there's a big button on it, and I literally couldn't tell if I was hitting it because my hands were so cold. So I was like I say, the water bottles. This I would just like hit here, and like I would just be blowing shot after shot because I couldn't actually feel it. Haven't gotten that quite yet out shooting on land, but if you're doing like long exposure in the cold, man, it is a real test of character. How bad do you want this shot? And the hand warmers, I mean, easy fix. I don't know why I haven't thought about that. Plus, it's also just like the gloves. Like you want something. I have these. What are the gloves I have? I think they're North Face, but they let you like they still work with touch devices, which is great. Um, but they don't keep your hands warm. So I don't know if there's one that like it's a bit thicker that you can use on device. Because I don't really need to use my phone. I probably shouldn't, but um, I don't know. It's kind of nice to be able to, if you're just sitting out there doing like long exposures or if you're waiting for the light to get decent. I'm not liking it a ton. Feels a little too blue over here. I don't know if that's, I can always dump it here. Yeah, dumping blues in the shadows helps quite a lot. Yeah, it might be a little chunky through the shadows. This is, yeah, this is kind of like the give and take. Like sometimes just like lifting up the full exposure, or no, like lifting up the black, dumping the exposure bit by bit, and then lifting through the middle with whites and shadows. Like I'd kind of thought I was done with this, but you never know, or I never know. I won't pretend like everyone feels the same. Maybe some people know. Me. Oh. But even adding like the red just a touch, like I feel like it's done quite a lot to change the feel of this. Might be a little too red through here, but it's not bad. We'll only stay warm for an hour at 0 Celsius, which is decent. I'd take an hour all day. I mean, I was getting cold at I think I was doing like 25 minutes. And like I needed to sit in the car because I like I couldn't open my trunk in some cases. I couldn't do anything. And problem with me is like I'm kind of a softie. Like I just don't do well with cold. Uh, huh. Well, I guess I'm not gonna find that. Yo, that's not right. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Pretty flat through the upper end, but I'm good with that. Definitely dump the blues a lot, but I still think it feels cool to cold, but it's not like overwhelmingly so. It's kind of interesting too, but I think that's too far. Yeah, I'm good with that. This is the benefit of like going through these folders because I'll just mark them like yellow, and then I'll just go into the filter. I'll go into the folder and just filter by yellow, and so this is sometimes like knee jerk sort of reactions to what I'm seeing in the moment. My eye gets tired to certain things, and I don't really care to see it. Kind of curious why I didn't really do anything with this. The horizon's an L for like the shore. Probably take that out. Again, really kind of a terrible job doing it. Usually you can get away with it. If I do heal or clone, no. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Why is it picking up so much color? I mean, I'm doing a lot. This is not, like, don't do this. Problem is there's so much shore underneath here and it's trying to like blend those pixels together too. Another thing you can do is just layer it on. Ah, it's not even any better. Usually it works. That's weird. Hmm. Well, there is a way to do it, but maybe I'm just not going to do it right now. See what I can do with this. How do I just pull it up? I kind of like the very symmetrical balance. Like it's very much along the thirds. Only thing that kind of gets me is this through here. It's kind of a distraction, but okay. I think I will survive. Hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely flattening out some of the shadows that make it interesting, but also want to pull out some of those details. It's kind of a weird balance of colors too. Keeps it fairly honest. I think this is a better job at. I think because my little default bump of reds in the shadows is kind of helping neutralize, but it does seem a little too warm. So, or red, I guess is how I'd put it. So, I mean, quickly you can see just the orange is shifting it just slightly. Kind of a lot of control over this with HSL chops. But I do like getting the impression I just need to punch in even more. Slightly surprised I didn't take out a bigger lens. Because now, like, even the highlights feel a bit more balanced in terms of it flowing through here. I usually wouldn't be so specific about this, but the shot is kind of, it's like even thirds, it's like just striped. Like if it's going to be balanced, I feel like I want it to be balanced. Yeah, I'm not going to fuck with that. I won't lie, this hasn't gotten a whole lot better. I'm kind of understanding why I didn't mess with this before. It's like it's got a lot of promise, but it's just I don't know what the deal is. Wrong lens, wrong framing. Light could be much better, but it's not bad. I think with the way I edit now and flattening things out, it just kind of blends together a little bit. Like that just looks like a blob. Whereas something like this, I think, is a much clearer focus. That should be. Didn't I just export this? Thought I did. Huh. Rack. Oh. Words are hard. Yeah. Here we go. Looks good in the viewport. Just kind of feels lackluster. I don't know. This is that, yeah, that same house. There's a bunch of them. I was like driving through to these people's property, trying to get out there, but there was like a fence set up in front of these. I feel like this should be. You gotta check the black and white. It's for everything. Tempted just to go black and white. Just, colors are hard. Ansel Adams had it right. He didn't need color. Why do I? Curious if auto would. No, auto does not do it. This just fixes some distortion. So basically all it does is gives you like two like straight lines. Ideally do it on similar scale, but it does a pretty good job of just following those. If you know like that's how far a straight line needs to be, it kind of just does a lot of interpolation in between. I think it did a pretty good job. But for some reason, I just love almost blowing these out. I think it contributes to the feel. There's something about like old abandoned houses that just feel like blown out, like old pictures. I don't know. To me, there's a vibe to it. Kind of interesting color bounces. More than I thought there would be going in. Color of this just, yeah. This is not that strange. I don't want too much, like, you can start noticing a lot of, like, if you start putting too much saturation on, to me, it looks artificial pretty quick. Just my personal opinion. And I also like my skies just usually a little bit on like the tealish side. Definitely pulling the aquas over towards green. Not too far. Something I've noticed I do a lot. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I mean, design related, but or anything related, totally fine. I'm just probably not going to dive into doing a bunch of design. I am designed the fuck out at the moment. Been a week. Yeah. It's like teal in the highlights definitely gets into some interesting stuff. Especially with these blown out style shots. Again, I can't point to an exact film stock. I don't know all the film stocks. Just feels like it's going in that direction. In some senses, it feels like I'm knocking down the highlights too much. Like there's just kind of like this wall sitting on the upper end. It's like you can always tell if people just like nuke their highlights down to save blowouts and stuff like that. Almost feels like that's what's going on here. Never saturate, just dehaze. That's, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, sometimes if you like overexpose things, you start losing the saturation and you need to compensate a little bit. But this is kind of my default. Like I go -2 texture, -10 clarity, and -15 dehaze. I think that gets you a decent amount of kind of softness in the image because I don't want all those details. But that will also keep you from getting a ton of like ghosting in high contrast areas. I feel like I've gone on about this before. Make sure I add this to selects before I forget. I don't think I'm gonna have a ton of high contrast stuff. Nah, don't think I am. But if you have like a power line or something going across the sky and you turn down texture, like dehaze, you'll start to see it like ghost because it's just not the best way of interpolating that. Ideally, we'd have just like a simple box blur. And this seems oversaturated coming back to it. My God. But I don't stylize much either. Yeah, I mean, you know, different strokes for different folks. I go for like the cinematic style stuff, and I try not to go too far, but I mean, it's all relative. I think a lot of people would think this is too far. I'm just trying to add feel, like I'm trying not to add like substance through editing. I don't believe in that. I don't know if that's like my high and mighty perspective, but I definitely, that's where I draw the line. But I'm also an idiot. See, like, is it this? Yeah, so like the oranges in the midtones, like you can see how it's kind of fighting here and it gets a little muddy. I may not be able to get away with this unless I go cooler, but I don't want to go there. So I don't know. I just have to tone this down. The warmer feels better than the orange. Orange is just, I mean, it's a complementary. So it's just going to turn this into fucking brown. So that's no good. It feels like a lot of contrast in here. It does feel too warm now. I wonder how close I am to the other one. So that's the more recent one. This should be. I do prefer the warmness through here. Kind of interesting. Some of the same things going on, but I do think the blue is a little more balanced than this. Hmm. It's a decent first pass. Oh, the other thing, I didn't really bump the reds, kind of like I like to. Like with these, I go really hard on pushing the reds in the shadows. Sometimes I'll dip the reds in the highlights, and that kind of, again, for whatever reason in my mind, registers as almost like expired film to some degree. See, like if you start like bumping this up, it's real greasy. So not one of those places you want to like play around with unless you're ready to just have things go off the rails. I feel like I've gotten it down pretty well, but I just don't pay attention to everything sometimes. So I'll think like I'm fixing one thing and I will completely ignore the fact that I just missed something entirely. Oh, I forgot the, maybe colorize the highlights a little bit. So I have another like luminance mask on the highlights. And so this does even more detexturing, negative clarity, negative dehaze. Kind of just softens things up a little bit, but I can also add some temp and tint. I can also do hue, but it looks pretty artificial pretty quickly, so I don't really fuck with that too much. Yeah, I mean, it's not the craziest edit I've ever done, but good to check through these every once in a while. This being the trip that I wasn't supposed to take. I just forgot my passport. I didn't bring a valid passport, I guess I should say. Good shay. Yeah. So actually someone wants this as a print. Gotta save this. Might need to fix. Dehaze isn't too bad. The grain's a little heavy, but not. I was on like a big grain kick when I was doing this. Yeah, see, this is too much. I like big grain. Not gonna lie. But yeah, this is the problem, like doing all the grain on here. Looks good, and then you get it on paper and suddenly it doesn't look so great. So always something to think about. Oh, I was afraid of this. Some inversion you can kind of see going on here. You lagging. Yeah, there's just like a heavy fade on this. But I'm kind of getting away with it. Kind of. It's not a typical S curve. Not something I would really advise. See like how much of the softness it adds, but this is without. So the luminance mask is what really makes this work. By retaining a lot of the details through the shadows and the midtones, and then just kind of. Because rarely do you need any information in the highlights to be that specific. That's at least what I think. I don't know. I'm sure people would. Everyone would disagree with something. Or someone would disagree with everything. Probably what I'm looking for. One of those, like, I don't know what that is. It's like kind of an incidental, kind of the C. Gotta call it C. Curious though. But at some point I did a series on this. I reset and paste. I do like this more. Hmm. See? Tricked me. I always explore the grain settings. I think it's so important that I don't know if I have the best one size fits all solution. Like I try not to bounce between different grain settings. I think it's a great unifier in a lot of pictures. Ah, see, it looks it looks good here, but at full size it just doesn't. Because I know if I drop this on a TV, it's just not gonna look right. Gonna look pixelated to shit. I think I did these on the stream before. Have one of these done? I thought I did one of these. Not this. This is definitely not it. Hmm. If you have a chance, definitely drive around Pacific Northwest and just get lost. It's so much fun. So much cool shit. Just everywhere. Can't remember which one. I think this is the one. And I've never been so like sure of a photo looking in the viewport and then unsure looking at it on screen. But some of the shit like through here, I was like, oh man, that's the shot. That's the shot. And it's like, what? What world did I think that was? Maybe marked it yellow at some point. I don't know what I'm seeing sometimes. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. I think this is okay. That's already in there. Which noise effect do you like to use in your pictures and videos, like risograph effects, etc.? So for stills, I mean, I pretty much just use what's in Lightroom. Um, I didn't like what Capture One got me. Just wasn't quite doing it for me. Wait, I need to reset this. For video, I do a lot of I use what's it called? Film nitrate. That's what I use for the videos I'm working on. I think it does a pretty good job of emulating film stock and how it applies the grain. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I never really liked the way I got grain to work in Photoshop. It's okay once you start getting into like blend modes and you can do some different layered effects with making it smart objects and yeah. I was trying to remember the exact process I had before. Something about like blurring it. I don't know. Because I go through the whole process of like I just worked on a project today that had some compositing and it was like I end up using oh excuse me. I end up using noise. I don't know what the setting is. I think it's like 120 or something, whatever the parameter is in Photoshop. And then rendering it, transforming it and increasing the size by 3 times, and then sharpening it. And then soft light, 20% opacity. And then yeah, there's some like sometimes I'll blur it. I don't know. I always thought grain was supposed to be sharp, but I've seen some techniques, people talking about softening it a little bit. That's okay. But yeah, I never really found anything I'm totally happy with. I'm still kind of like trying to find it, if I'm being honest. Because I want grain. I don't want it to like overpower an image. Unless it's like some of those lighthouse ones that are just like the grain kind of makes it feel it's kind of in your face about making it feel vintage and old and kind of like the clarity and the image quality isn't super important. Um, but yeah, it's like the discrepancy between like what it looks like in the preview and then what it looks like in a print, what it looks like on a TV with the TV app, or even my screensaver. Like sometimes it looks decent actually with the screensaver. It's more the TVs for some reason it renders grain just not well. I don't know if that helps at all. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to do it. I don't like doing this, but here we are. Not proud of myself. Yeah, I'm not crazy about using any sort of like vignetting. Have you found anything that you've been liking? I'm not familiar with risograph. Like I should look that up. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've seen this before. Hmm. Probably thinking the exact process you could do to make this, but I've never really done anything with like risograph type grain. I do like it. Um, I don't think it's traditionally fit my style as much. I think there's cool things you can do with it like this, but um, yeah, that stuff's cool. I don't think I'm gonna like this way this turns out, but let's see if I can. This feels like this picture's a dime a dozen. I think that's what my problem is right now. Who hasn't? Who hasn't been through the Pacific Northwest in fall and taken almost this exact picture? Unless I can do something significant with the edit, I think this is probably not going to go anywhere because there's so much dead information through here. Like, I should really be punching in even more. Yep. Huh. That power line's going to have to go if I keep it, but let's see if we can get there first. Not totally sold. I just don't think this is it. Could just be a shitty grade. I don't know. It just feels so pedestrian to me. Maybe I'm just boring. I don't know. Certainly a possibility. Yeah, even now it just feels like there's so much. This might require some finessing. Why, I wish I had a bigger curves palette. Oh, fuck you. There's just so little information in here. It just already feels like I'm just pushing the yellows too hard. I am. Yeah, I don't. Nice in theory, but it's just not coming together. Done these on stream before. I'm really trying to find like new photos. I've done this one a million times. I don't think I got anything going from Zion to Page really. Lighting sucked. Always fascinating to go into some of these buildings. It's just like all across the country you can find all the same sorts of stupidity in this world. Pathetic. Can you describe your process about showcasing your work? I'm exploring how I could showcase my projects and portfolios. Currently, I'm thinking of making posters for each of them and using those posters as primary images. Yeah, so right now I'm trying to go through and make a reel. Is this the, yeah, so this isn't even the worst of it. I think I have an untitled image. I may have deleted it. I just have to be careful about what I show. But yeah, like I'm trying to make a video because I think video is the most, it's the easiest for people to wrap their heads around. I guess it depends on kind of what work you do. Do you design typically, or like what sort of stuff? What do you do and who do you want to speak to, I guess is an important question to ask. Because that might determine like how aggressive you can be with presenting some of the stuff. Ooh, that's not. Don't do that. Oh. Oh no. I don't know about that one. I think that's a blowout. What is it? Command Shift B? No, I think that's Capture 1. Show your. Why isn't my Stream Deck updating? I don't have a Lightroom one, that's why. I thought I did it. What the hell? What the heck? Oh, I didn't do it. Yeah, all my Capture 1 commands. Don't have it with this. Huh. Probably get on this. Target adjustment tonal curve. Oh. Sure, there's gonna be some interesting stuff to learn. Isn't there an exposure warning in Lightroom, or is that just, there's gotta be. Whatever. Could it? Could be. But one way to tell, it's right there. Pretty much a blowout. There's no information there. And there might be just trace amounts, but yeah, if it does that, you're kind of... There's gloomy high clouds, which doesn't help. I mean, the one option always just crop it out. Yeah, design as well as code, mostly front-end web, but desktop application and machine learning applications too. Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious answer is a portfolio site of some kind. That, like, I mean, that's the audience you're speaking to, like people who... I think you probably want to talk to a bunch of people who work in your industry. And so where are they going to look? How do they find people? Don't know if I can... Wish that sky wasn't so blown out. Wonder if I can do a stupid trick. Nah. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, website's the obvious one. If you're just looking at, I don't know, like I've been thinking about this same thing too. Because I always thought the website was gonna be a be all end all, but I even went to it recently and felt like I just had no idea what I was looking at. Like if I'm coming here cold, like I don't know what the fuck to think. Like what are collabs? What are originals? This is small. I don't think anyone's gonna read it. Slightly confusing. So I don't know, like I think I'm just trying to do too much as part of what my problem is. But I do think presentation is super important. So the medium is, I mean, up for debate, like whether it's stills or motion, if you can animate anything. I think if you're doing like front end development, I think the motion of it's super important. Because yeah, the front end now, like so much of it is about how much animation you can do, how much just like cool shit you can bring to the table. So some form of motion would be good. And whether or not that's in a video, like you might argue that loading up all these experiences might be kind of, I don't know, time intensive. So maybe a video makes more sense to kind of show a reel of it. I don't know. But yeah, for me, because I do a lot of interactive stuff, I'm going all to video. I'm animating a bunch of I have it on here. Pause. I don't know if this is gonna play audio or not. This is the rough cut of like what I'm looking at. With a lot of like updates since. So a lot of like interactive stuff I can just put in here. This stuff's like not all done. But you kind of get the gist of what I'm going for. Like I just think there's a way to like, I don't know, easily convey all this stuff. Like if you try and show someone this things in statics, it's kind of hard for people to grasp. Especially like a chief marketing person or someone who's just doesn't live in your world, and so they don't exactly know what they're looking at. Oh yeah, didn't mean to show that on stream, but whatever. It's pretty quiet today. I think I'm gonna do some more with this stupidity. The idea is, yeah, it's taped over.
Hi, I'm Bob Ross.
Yeah, lots of finessing needed, but it's hopefully done next week. We shall see. I don't know if that's helpful at all. kind of a meandering answer where I'm kind of just like thinking out loud for the most part. So tempting. Efficient way? Yeah, I think like it's efficient for the viewer to make it. It's not easy. It's not it stopped being fun. It was fun for a little while and now it's not fun at all. Wanna cry. Syncing things to music. Just not my favorite thing to do. Yeah, I think partially also my thinking behind it is like I've just traditionally assumed too much of people's interest to understand me and my work. Like I've understood that to be a fallacy for a while, to like assume people care about my stuff as much as I care about my stuff. Like it's never gonna happen. People just aren't. And so if you can lower that sort of bar of entry, like like for them to just sit there and take in a video, like I don't know. I don't know what else, like if that doesn't get them in, then like I'm out of ideas. I've made it as easy as possible to understand everything I do. Um, maybe I won't need my website as much anymore. I don't know. That would be the dream. I don't think that's going to be a reality. Or experience. I'm using WebGL 3JS. Nice. Current portfolio. I'm focusing on the layout and the overall experience. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you can go with WebGL and 3JS. I'm kind of glad I don't know those things. Like I only know very basic development through Webflow, which I think a lot of people would argue is not even development. But yeah, I think like I don't know, everyone's got a different school of thought. It's like whether or not your portfolio itself is a piece that represents your abilities, or if it's the vessel to convey what you do. And it's kind of like you don't want to muddy the waters by having some crazy portfolio and crazy work. It's like maybe just dumb the portfolio down and it's just there to present it and the work speaks for itself. That's more the approach I've gone recently. I've gone the other way where I tried to make my portfolio into more like the point of interest. I don't know if it was with success or not. Don't worry, this looks really bad. I know. Just want to try something. This wouldn't be the edible edit stream if I didn't do some weird stuff, right? This is like just gone tonally. Something's flattening it. This. Like this like almost abstracts it beyond rocks. Kind of like just wish this cutoff right here on the right wasn't there. Kind of like this cropping up to the middle. This kind of peaking. Lots of little alignments going on. So I think the blue helps, but I'm in here. Let's do wholesale. But like, this is where it's so hard with this. Because there's such a small range to play with. Just make that bigger. It'd be so much easier. So because I'm like just getting weird with this, I don't mind breaking rules. Like I typically wouldn't push the shadows that hard. Yeah, regular people might not realize the efforts that go into making the work. Like you do, we devs and designers definitely love your work. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun, and it's like I'm absolutely confident the same goes for you. Of like the stuff you do in WebGL and 3JS, like you try and convey that to people, and just if you give them static comps, like even if you give them like a series of comps that kind of explain it. I mean, I've had arguably one of the most artistic people I've ever met just have zero ability to wrap their head around it. It was kind of wild because it's a world I operate within all the time and it seems obvious to me, but a lot of people, it's like unless you show it actually working, like they just don't, they kind of just need to see it all. They're like, you can't have any sort of like, you're asking people to bridge a gap, like a bridge too far or whatever it is. I think that's the movie I'm thinking of. So now I'm just like searching. I'm trying to find just like interesting color balances. It's definitely kind of weird. It's not like totally breaking the rules. It's close. Again, I'm not quite used to so much like inherent contrast. I usually shoot like seascapes and landscapes, not like harshly lit things. Ooh, wow, it did quite a lot. Hmm. So with this stuff, I definitely don't have a plan. I am just winging it. Huh. I mean, it's something. I've definitely come up with weirder on these shots. I don't know where that one is. Oh, some of these. Oh yeah, I got like blue to come out. I don't remember how I did that. Probably a lot of ill-advised techniques. Yeah, that'll do it. I mean, it almost looks natural. It's kind of weird. I reset. Actually, it is there. It doesn't look nearly as blue in real life, I can tell you that. This one's not too far off. Yeah, see, I messed up on all these. All these that are shooting up in the sun, like I just didn't. I didn't expose for the highlights. It's just, in hindsight, a very obvious thing, but live and learn. Going on here. One second, just got to respond to this. Okay, here we go. Doesn't quite feel flat. Yeah. Oh, it does. Oh, it's just like the thirds going through here. Yeah, I'm good with that. Usually I don't push things through that quite that quickly, but I think it works. This one could be nice. Tempting. Tempting. What's funny is I did make additional preset for dark. So what that does is just pushes all these over. So the relative scale of like the parametric curve and then the color grading are already adjusted for darker images. Because I always forget. I'll probably forget the color curves unless I do it right now. Just little things I've learned about myself being exceptionally dense. Like, oh, if I just save something, I don't have to forget all the time and go back and just bake it into the program a little bit. And so if I didn't adjust that blending, this highlight would pretty much do nothing in this image. It's because it's almost monochromatic. Like the HSL is really not going to do a ton for what I want to do. I'm kind of almost not even going to look. So I just mess with the balance again because I think you see how much the shadow is affecting. It's like almost all of it. And so it's almost just like this global color application, and it just doesn't, I don't think it really does anything good. Just in the same way, it should now help the highlights a little bit more. So it's just shifting that balance over. Sort of torn. But I don't think it's like I've nuked the contrast a little too much. Maybe you start coming at this from a different angle. What would be nice is if the focus was here and the light sort of tapered off. I mean, I could, in theory, like sort of reverse it, but it always looks so obvious when you do it. At least when I do it, I haven't found a good way of doing it. More about like reducing highlights and stuff like that. That just looks pasted on, so I have not much of an interest in doing that. See, like this one's got a lot more blue in the highlights. I think offers a little bit of balance, but it might be a little too far. Somewhere around here. I feel like this wants to be warm. Well, so you get a little bit control of the sidewall. See, that's blue. It's kind of interesting. Or aqua is what's controlling these highlights. I'm able to get a little bit more out of it. Interesting. Do like aqua going a little more blue. Up the saturation on it. Now I'll just do a little kind of correction. This is what I would call it. I'm just looking at all the different ways I'm modifying the shadows. So I'm kind of adding a lot of contrast at like the very low end of the tonal curve. I used to do this all the time. I try and avoid it now. But I just think this image really could benefit from it. Maybe I move this point a little further. Because there's a like where that turn is happening, there's quite a bit of contrast. Like that's a lot of where this balance is going on. And so the steeper it is, more contrast you're gonna get. Oh, I mean, I think it's better. This one just flattens it out and just nukes all the details through there. Which there's something to be said for that. I don't care much for the method of it and the way I'm doing it there, but interesting. That's how much this midtones factoring in. It's kind of interesting to go like green and neutralize it so much. It's like very subtle, but it's really kind of interesting to me at least of like how this is all playing out in this image. I do like this sort of resolving in the corner, this hitting through the corner. I don't know if that's either. I don't know what I'm looking for in this, but I'm just not finding it. I think the image is inherently interesting. It's not cropping out that way. I don't know. Very interesting. What if I copy, paste? It's like F2. Yeah, 2.8. Lens is just so stupid sharp, especially for a zoom. I don't know why anyone, how good these lenses are. There's really no need to zoom with your feet anymore. Seems like a thing of the past to me. Oh yeah, this one. I forgot about this. This one I pushed really hard. I don't want another try at it. I do want to see if I maybe fix a couple things. Maybe I don't even need to. I just don't like elevating that endpoint so much anymore. I don't just doesn't feel right. I think the grain settings, yeah, these are not right. So this is kind of one that breaks all the rules. I mean, that's the original. It's really getting weird. This sort of like nuclear dust or whatever you want to call it. Do you think there's a bit too much going on with the tonal curve? So there's so many ways to skin a cat in terms of like how you adjust your value of your shot. Tonal curves, whatever these primary sliders are, parametric curve, the color grade tool, like all our options. I feel like this offers some important balance. Yeah, I like that more. Yeah, I don't need to redo it. It's lab texture Terra. So lab's something I want to do more of. That's where I think some of these weird edits are gonna live. Just non-traditional style edits where I feel like I need to maintain a style, so to speak. But I do want to have the flexibility to just get weird, try something new. Ugh, so much desert. I want to just edit some city shots. That's what I want to do. Sorry, whacking the mic. Real professional. Oh, Tyler. Love this sequence, but I just never got it anywhere good. I mean, this pulled in isn't half bad. I hate these blowouts, and I could probably fix it. Kind of like the context. Like if you live here, you kind of know the spot. So it's kind of nice to see a wave like this coming through in this city because it doesn't happen all that often. Like this kind of creates this weird space here. I'd almost rather just have it clean and simple. See what I can do about that. Where has this been? Oh, this has been in all sorts of interesting spots. Hmm. Can't say I advise that. Eee. Buddy. This is like almost so abstracted, like it's don't really know what's going on. And it's usually okay. I'm kind of able to knock that out a decent amount. Better than I thought I'd be able to. Kind of curious to see what I can do stylistically, if like I'm just wasting my time or not. My impatience kicking in. I probably shouldn't do. Yeah, see, that's so helpful. I may wrap it up pretty soon here as well. I just wanted to come on, do a couple photos. If I still remember how to do this. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to figure out where streaming fits in the future. How I can do it and be efficient, I think is something that's interesting. I think if I come on and just do like photos and I can just be pretty laid back and not really stressing, like I don't look at this as a work session right now. It's just kind of like It's cathartic after a week of just grinding. But yeah, like I don't know where the streams fit in, how they do. I'm like not doing a great job of promoting it. I'm not finishing anything, which is a problem. So I'm like, I think I'm just gonna prioritize finishing things. I'm taking this weekend kind of off. I don't have client work starting Monday, but I'm giving myself 2 days to finish the reel, and that's it. Like I'm probably like every time I say things like that, like oh I'm gonna release it, yeah, or like right, or early next week. It's like it's never done. I should probably stop doing that, but I just need to move on. I need to get that out because I'm starting to look for work, and I'm realizing I need to be much more particular about my work and what I go after. What do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Hopefully, this reel will open up some doors, get me in front of more of the right people. Because I don't want to be just grinding things out for. Yeah, I won't go into the details. No sour grapes here. But yeah, thank you to everyone who comes through. I know, kind of a random stream. But I don't know, these photo sessions are kind of fun. Maybe more in the future. I just want to see. It's such a better frame, but there's just like shit on the lens. What is that? Look at all that like negative. Yeah, there's a lot of ill-advised things going on there. That's better. Still things like I just don't know. I love the wide angle, but may need to be something like this. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. Yeah, I'm a goldfish. I'm easily distracted. I know it. Yeah, Kishar, thank you for coming through, man. Love the questions. Glad you enjoy them. Yeah, I'll be back. I just gotta finish some stuff up, get it out the door, and then do some thinking on how I do these. So, again, if you're watching these as a DVR too, feel free to leave comments, questions, concerns. Otherwise, I'll probably be back. There's a chance Sunday. Maybe I'll come on and do just some like random shit. But I kind of want to take the weekend off. Otherwise, I'll be back next week. So